I'm great. How you doing, Celine?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for inviting us here into your studio. You have a beautiful place.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you. So Nelson, tell us, why did you want to become a tattoo artist?
I wanted to do something that involved art and illustration. I love to draw. I've always enjoyed drawing in my life. And I went to school for fine arts and graphic design. And I worked in the graphic design field for a year and a half, but it didn't really satisfy me creatively. So while I was kind of soul searching and looking for what else I could do, because I knew I didn't want to do graphic design for the rest of my life, I got my first tattoo. And it just happens that when I went to get my first tattoo, while I was talking to my artist, he just kind of planted the seed in my brain that it was the right thing for me to do, because he was so happy doing it. He said he got to draw every day, and it just kind of lit the light bulb in my head to say, I think this is something I want to do. So I pursued it.
So how long did it take to become a tattoo artist? Is it something that you decided you want to be a tattoo artist, you left graphic design, and the next week you were a tattoo artist? Or how does that work?
I wish it would have been that fast. It was kind of a lengthy process. It took me about 2 years from I guess the moment I decided I want to do tattooing to the moment I actually got into a studio. But I spent like almost every day for about a year and a half just working on my portfolio, learning as much as I could about tattooing, going to tattoo shops and getting more tattoos, and just learning as much as I could about the industry and the art until I could actually get my foot in the door.
So practicing to do tattoos, we talked a little bit earlier about like it's maybe scary to start practicing on individuals. You said you practice on fruits.
Yeah, this was one of the things that I learned from other tattoo artists when I asked them how they got to practice. And tattooing on grapefruits was the way I was told to start practicing and just getting accustomed to using the equipment. So I did many tattoos on grapefruit so that I could get used to not drawing on a flat surface and getting used to the needles entering at a certain depth and having that kind of control of pressure. And once I felt more comfortable with that, I stepped it up into skin. And then the skin was my own skin because I was too scared to do it on anybody else.
How did that turn out?
They turned out good. It's not something I'd like to do normally. I'm still happy with the ones that I have. Like I tattooed myself 4 times, and I've learned a lot from them. But yeah, after I did that, then I felt like I was comfortable enough to tattoo friends or co-workers, and that's kind of the route that I went.
So say, for example, I am a potential customer. I come in and I say, Nelson, I would like to have a tattoo. I'm not quite sure what I want. Do you have a book I can look at and go through pages and see what type of picture would speak to me personally?
I personally don't work that way. That's more like a more traditional way of how people chose their tattoos. Back in the day, people would choose what's called a flash image, and flash tattoos are pre-drawn images that tattoo artists would display on their shops. I work just as a custom tattoo studio. So when people come to me, they come with an idea and a theme, and then I might suggest styles that might fit the idea that they want, and then I design from scratch their tattoos for them. So if they're not sure what they want, I usually just tell them to go back and do a little bit more research into things that they might want to do, like research in tattoo styles that they like or artistic styles they like, or also just research on subject matter that they might be interested in. And then they can contact me once they're a little bit more prepared, and then we'll move forward at that point.
Do you try to lead them into a certain style, or this is something that the person,
No.
it has to come from them?
Yeah, I try to be very open to what the client wants, and I try to gear my work specifically to their needs. I'm not an artist that likes to push my own personal agenda, my own personal style onto people. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because some artists are they have a very personal style that they like to stick to, and that's kind of what they're comfortable with. I like variety, and I like doing things differently. So when somebody comes to me, I really like to just find out what it is that they like. And then even if I'm not familiar with it, I will do research and get myself familiar with that style or that subject until I can get it to like the quality standard that I'm used to and give them the best tattoo that they deserve.
Because I've seen some of your designs of individuals that have come, and you do beautiful art.
Thank you.
It's really it's really really an art. You know, sometimes you think about tattoos and you're thinking, oh, someone's getting a flag, or you know, is getting you know, I love somebody with a little heart. But as you know, now we see more things in society where people have sleeves, they have flowers in their back, they have you know, special tattoos or tattoos that followed, you know, like it's not just one, it's a combination of, like there's a story that's being told. Why do people get tattoos? Is there specific reasons why people want that?
There are many different reasons why people get tattoos. The most common, I think, is just somebody wants something personal and something that they can call their own, and to kind of decorate their body, and just for the beauty of it, like the aesthetic of the tattoo. Some people get them to commemorate the loss of a loved one, or to commemorate an idea they want to be reminded of. But not all tattoos need to have a specific meaning or you know, deep sentimental connection to them. A lot of people, I find most of them, they get them just because they think they look cool and they want something that enhances what they are now, almost like a self-improvement kind of thing.
Does it happen that somebody gets a tattoo and they grow up, you know, like you get it when you're 17, 18, you grow up and you end up 30, 35, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I don't love Betty anymore. I need to get her out. Is it easy to have a tattoo remover? Is that even possible?
It is possible. It's not easy. There's laser tattoo removal, which is the most common way of removing a tattoo. And it'll fade the tattoo through multiple sessions, where the laser actually breaks up the pigment inside your skin, so it makes it easier for your body to naturally get rid of the ink through its own process of you know, just like getting rid of a virus, that kind of process. Just white blood cells taking it away. But it takes multiple sessions. I've heard that it's even more painful than getting a tattoo, getting the laser removal.
Maybe it's like burning.
There is a little bit of kind of a burning situation. People get blisters from it and stuff, but it's more than anything, it's a slow process. You really want to not have the tattoo to go down that road, because it's even more of a painful ordeal than getting the tattoo in the first place. So if you can decide wisely and get the tattoo you want and not rush into it, it's probably the best thing to do.
So say I was coming here and I had maybe an idea that wasn't very wise, or you know, maybe it was something that wasn't very nice. Would that be something that you would accept to do to an individual?
Well, I'll try to guide the client. If they have an idea that I don't think will work visually, I'll try to guide them in the right direction, so that it will be a design that will work and that I can stand behind and that they'll be proud of wearing for the rest of their life. But it does happen sometimes. People come in and they're a bit on the stubborn side, and they just want things done their way. And it doesn't matter the counsel that I tell them, they're unwilling to budge. And if I can't agree with the design direction that they want, or if they want to get something that is offensive or I just disagree with, I won't do the work. I'll just tell them that it's not something I want to do.
Because I imagine that your design reflects on you. Like people will see them and it will say, you know, who made this design? So I guess you have to be careful what you project. Yeah,
like everything that walks out of my studio is kind of like a walking billboard of my work. So if I do anything bad, it's going to reflect badly on me. If I do anything good, then it reflects well on me. So I try to make sure that everything that comes out of here is up to my standard of quality.
And also for your company, Espada, what does that mean? Why that name specifically?
Well, my family has a Spanish background. And Espada means sword in Spanish. And,
Which you have one behind you.
yeah, and that's a sword that it's a replica of the sword that belonged to El Cid, who is a Spanish military hero from kind of medieval times. And he was kind of like a hero of mine growing up, just because he was like a real life historical Spanish warrior that, you know, as a kid, it's like something that I was wowed by. And he was able to get the independence of Spain back from the Moors around the 1400s. So yeah, when I was thinking of ideas for the name of the studio, I just thought of that. It kind of clicked, and I just ran with it.
Does the Health Canada, do they come and inspect your place?
They do. They did, actually. They do it once a year if there is no problems, or if somebody can complain and send a complaint about a tattoo shop or any place that, if you think that they're not up to the standards of the health codes, you can report them. And then at that point, we would get inspected again. And if anything needs to be changed, then you'll be given a warning, and like they'll come back and make sure that you're operating under the proper protocols. I personally have had no issues with that, but it's good to know that if you do run into a place that doesn't meet the standards that they should have, you can report them to Health Canada, and it should be. You should, because
it's
dangerous. Yeah, those places like that shouldn't be operating if they're not operating under the proper conditions.
Well, thank you, Nelson. Après la pause, on s'en va dans le studio de Nelson pour voir un vrai tatouage. Nous sommes de retour de la pause ici dans le studio de Nelson, qui a aussi un ami qui va se faire tatouer aujourd'hui. Nelson, Ian is getting tattooed, and he has decided, or you guys have worked on a plan for the image that he will be getting on his arm.
Yeah, we're continuing some work that we've already started before. He's got a Star Wars theme going, which I love to do because I'm a big fan of Star Wars myself. And we're just going to be adding a Death Star and a TIE Fighter to his already existing Darth Vader and Rebel and Empire logo.
Which is a really nice tattoo.
Thank you.
How do you feel about that, Ian? Are you looking forward to having an extra one?
I can't wait.
Yes?
I've been on the verge and waiting. Yeah, the creativity that comes from Nelson is truly outstanding. So every time I get one done, I need to see how the rest is going to unfold.
So tell me about this tattoo that you're getting right now. What is that, and what does that mean with the other tattoos?
Well, the Death Star is, everybody knows I hope everybody knows what the Death Star is. And I have Vader on there as well. It's going to be pretty much Imperial themed sleeve. I have Anakin's lightsaber and the Rebel and Imperial symbol as well. The Rebel symbol is all banged up. And we'll just pretty much go from whatever Nelson suggests from there.
You have mentioned that you might want to have a sleeve, or you are working on a sleeve?
Yeah, my goal is to have a sleeve. I like the idea. I like the flow of his art that's happening with it. I don't want it just to be a couple pictures. I'd like it to be just a total masterpiece.
Does it hurt when he does that?
Not at all. It tickles the first 30 seconds, and then you get kind of used to it. It's actually kind of a nice feeling.
Like tickle, or tickle as I'm scratching you a little bit?
It's almost like scratching a mosquito bite in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, a little satisfying, and then it just becomes numb.
I guess there is different process that you're using, Nelson. Now you're putting color on. Like before it was just the contour, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's just different needles and different machines that I use for whatever effect that I want. Right now I'm just doing applying different tones, and I'm building up the dark tones of the Death Star to give it form. And for that, I use like a wide flat needle that's known as a magnum. And yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
So I noticed that you use a jelly to put on his arm, and then you use the like the needle. What is this jelly for?
Yeah, it's a petroleum jelly, and it well, it actually does two things. One, the main thing that it does, it lubricates the skin so that the needles glide in more easily, so that there's less friction, so that we can get the ink into the skin without causing so much damage to the skin. And it also creates like a hydrophobic layer, so it prevents like the ink from spreading over the surface, because the ink is water based and the petroleum jelly is oil based, so they separate. That way it makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing as well. So that's why you put it on.
And you have different colors. I guess do you mix your colors, or it's one color at a time?
It's usually one color at a time, but sometimes you do need to mix your colors when there's like transition spots from one color to another.
Wow.
But yeah, just like painting or drawing, the artist has to judge how he wants to apply the color and when and where. So that's where the fun comes in, the creativity.
Is color more difficult than black and white?
It's a little bit more time consuming. I would say, yeah, probably for me it is. I'd love to do black and gray. I like color too. It's really challenging. It's a little bit more complex because you have to do more planning and more thinking as to what colors you choose, how you're going to apply them, like which ones you put down first and how they're going to blend and that kind of thing. Black and gray is a little bit more straightforward.
Is there colors that are harder to, like, for the skin to absorb, or it's generally a color is a color?
No, actually, yeah, there are some inks that are harder to get into the skin than others. That's usually more not because of like, let's say oranges are not hard to get in, but an orange from a certain ink manufacturer could be harder to get in than like an orange from another one. So certain manufacturers have inks that are easier to work with than others. And then I think for that reason, there's some artists that really like to work with certain types of inks. And there's some artists that, will maybe kind of put up with a certain company because they have really vibrant, good colors, but they might be difficult to put in, but they'll still use them just because, you can't get that color anywhere else.
So you do mix and match?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like, there's quite a few choices out there for good quality inks nowadays, and you usually can find the common ones will be used by, like, most of the artists nowadays will use only, like, there's like a few companies that get widely used, and they're the kind of go-to inks, but there's still a lot of variety, so people have the choice to choose what they want for their own purposes.
Do you think putting this ink in your body, do you think it's dangerous for your health in any way?
Not at all. Actually, there's been some studies that kind of suggest the opposite. Apparently, if you get tattooed regularly, because it's doing a little bit of a shock to your immune system, it actually strengthens it.
Really?
Kind of, in a little bit, kind of like a vaccine might strengthen your immune system, because it's thinking that it needs to strengthen up to protect itself from the virus that's coming. So I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but it makes logical sense that if you are going to be doing a little bit of damage to your skin, your body is going to toughen up to it. And everything we use is sterile, so there's no real danger to it.
I noticed that you put some color and then you wipe it, and it brings the color down. I guess that's just the excess of color that just blocks down.
I'm wiping away the surface ink so that you can only see the stuff that's inside the skin now after I wipe it off.
And I guess it's easy to wash because it's water-based?
Yeah, all the inks are water-based, so So yeah, I just use distilled water and green soap solution, which I have here, and then we just use that
To clean it?
Yeah, to clean the surface.
And it all comes out, like all the excess comes out after?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I can do a little wipe down now, like a good full one, and then you can see the image quite clearly after.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that's mainly what that's for. It's just so that you can see what you're working on again.
So like your drawing is really nice. Does it stress you that you may make a mistake, or you already know what you have in mind and that's where you're going?
Yeah, I've been doing this for like 11 years now. So when I first started, I did get stressed out about like, oh, how's this gonna turn out? Am I planning this right? But I've done this so long now that I have a very clear picture in my mind of where things are gonna go and how I'm gonna do it. So now I just go through the process of getting it done, and it's not really stressful anymore.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thanks.
I have a son who's artistic, and you can tell by their drawing like their details and how they perceive things, and it's so creative.
Yeah, I find it's just like anything else. It's like a skill that you learn and you can practice. Like, I don't think this is something I was particularly like born with. It's just something that I enjoyed doing, so I did it a lot. And because I did a lot, I got a lot of practice, and the practice just, gave me the experience that I needed to elevate the skill level. Mm-hmm. So when you keep doing something, you just keep getting better and better at it. So I've been doing this for a long time. So that's how I got here.
Do you do like some drawings on paper and stuff just to see what things would look like?
I don't use paper anymore just because it's easier to draw digitally now, but it's the same process. So
with a board or on the iPad?
Like on a digital tablet, drawing tablet. So that's how I do all my drawings now. But I mean, I used to do my drawings on paper, but now it's just a lot faster and cleaner. It's more efficient to do it digitally, so that's what I do now. But
I guess I
could do it on paper.
You would do something for a customer, and then you would say, here's the idea of what you've been thinking of, this is what it would look like?
Yeah. If somebody wants to see like a concept drawing of where their tattoo is going to be, I'll send them the line drawing in a digital file in an email, and then they can kind of preview where it's going to go. Usually without any shading or coloring, though, just because that's really time consuming, and I don't charge for drawings, so I try to make it as efficient as possible. It'll take
But you're very good with colors.
I try. I think my biggest strength is black and gray work, but I do love to do color work as well. But yeah, it's.
Why black and gray?
I don't know. I like it. I just really like the look of black and gray work. I don't really have a better reason than that. I just really like the look of it.
How do you feel, Ian?
I feel great right now. I'm like really loving how this work is turning out.
Do you find it tiring though?
No, it's not tiring.
Because you can't move a lot. You're observing. You're not sure. Like, I'm sure you have an idea what it's going to turn out.
Yeah,
like, but
it's
do you have?
Sorry?
Do you have any worries about that?
No, not at all. I trust Nelson completely. He's a better artistic eye than I do. I'd say I might have this idea, and then he'll run with it. I'm not too worried at all about that kind of stuff.
Oh, good. Well, it looks fantastic.
Thank you.
And,
thank you, Sully.
Even from the beginning, it was just an outline to, like, you already knew that it was going to look really good. Like, now you see it's starting to take its shape and the colors. It's still the black colors, but it's being filled in, Does it work more when it's filled in?
Not really. I find after a couple hours of just coloring it starts to feel a little dry. Oh. So when he puts that solution, at least I find it's pretty nice. I love it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long does it take to heal?
Usually it only takes about a week or two for it to fully heal. At least for your epidermis to heal, like the top layer. And it might take about a week more for the dermal layer, the layer underneath where the ink is, for it to heal. But you don't have to worry about that part because that's all happening under the surface. So that it's pretty much healed on top and nothing else. You don't have to worry about infections or anything happening once that part's done.
Will it do a scab?
It can. Yeah, if you overwork the area, you can get scabby parts. Ideally, you shouldn't get any, but it does happen sometimes. If you do get a scab, though, all you got to do is just leave it alone. Don't pick at it, because if you pick at it, you could lose some color. But yeah, normally even after you get tattooed, you just might get some like light flaking, and that's ideally what you want.
So how long does a tattoo last? Like really nice. Like now this is fresh. It's really beautiful. In 10 years you need to refresh. 15 years.
Well, hopefully this should be good for him for like the rest of his life. The way I try to design things, I try to keep in mind the amount of detail that I'm putting into the piece and how I'm going to handle the shading and like the coloring and the amount of line work. So he shouldn't have to do anything to this unless he got, like, let's say a lot of sun and then it's got faded for a good 20, 30 years.
So does the sun do fade the tattoo?
Yeah, like the sun will fade any pigment. That's why when you go to like art galleries and stuff, they tell you not to use any flash for photography because light radiation bleaches pigments. So
even the paints.
Yeah, that's why they like it's not they don't tell you, like, you can usually, like, if you go to an art gallery, they'll allow you to take pictures if you're not using a flash, but they'll tell you no flash photography because every time you take a picture with a flash, you're fading the pigments of whatever artwork you're taking the picture of. And the same thing is, like, the sun's even more powerful than a flash. So if you get your tattoo out in the sun all the time, it is gonna kind of fade it and bleach it like over time.
So if he's going into the sun, like right now, say we were the summer and he's going into the sun, would he need to put sunscreen especially on his tattoos?
Yeah, it would be a good idea. I always recommend people to put like like a 50 SPF or higher on their tattoos if they're going in the sun for a while, because it will protect the ink from fading.
Is there ink that fades more than others?
Yeah, like that'll just depends on the quality of the ink.
So it's not necessarily a color, it's just the brand or something.
Yeah.
Like tattooing his arm, it seems, I'm not saying it seems easy, but it's right there for you. What if it's being tattooed somewhere else? Must be awkward, always bent down, like on his chest.
You can get into some awkward like positions, but this, what he's sitting on now, it's very versatile. You can move it every which way. We can flatten it out and can be on his stomach. So I just adjust how I work on my clients so that they're comfortable and so I'm comfortable. And there's not usually anything that's really super awkward. You can usually figure out a way of working that will be comfortable for everybody.
Because it's still hard work. Like I'm looking at you working and you're bent down a lot and you have to concentrate. And here I am talking to you. Hopefully there won't be any part of that on your arm.
No, I don't find it hard. Like it's not like for me it's not physically like draining. It's I don't know, I just find it like challenging and enjoyable.
So I really appreciate knowing all about your business.
Oh, well, thank you for visiting and taking the time to talk to me.
Well, thank you.